Right, hello guys, and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my Black Ops 6 Xbox Elite Series 2 controller setup, plus my Black Ops 6 best settings right now. The game has finally launched. I've had a bit of playtime, and I've already managed to settle on some settings that are going to be good for you, good for me, and just great for Black Ops 6. So we're going to start, of course, with the Xbox Elite Series 2. There are timestamps down below, so if you don't have an Xbox Elite Series 2 or do not care about the controller, feel free to skip to the all-important Black Ops 6 settings, in which I'll be sharing with you the best settings from sensitivity to dead zones to field of view, you name it, I'll be sharing it. But first, we're going to start off with my Xbox Elite Series 2 / Xbox Elite Series Core, because both can take advantage of these settings for Black Ops 6. And I'm going to just blast through these because I have got another video on the channel talking about this in detail, but I'm just going to go through this and get through this as quick as possible for you guys. So bear with me. But let's start with the controller mapping. As you can see, everything is pretty much default. There is no difference. The only thing is, of course, at the bottom, many of you will be interested in the paddles. If you've got the controller with the paddles or want to take advantage of the paddles, there are 4 paddles labeled here. I only use one paddle, and that is A. It is the only paddle I use. A, for me, is mapped to jumping, so I only use this paddle to jump shot. Even though these are labeled B, X, and Y, I don't actually use these paddles at all. These paddles are not put into my controller at all. All I have is a short paddle on my right-hand side for the A button to jump. This is personal preference. I would suggest, playing around with this, seeing if you like 1 paddle, 2 paddles, 3 paddles, 4 paddles, or 0 paddles. If you don't want any of the paddles, you don't have to use the paddles. So don't sit there and think it's a necessity that you have to use a paddle for Black Ops 6. You absolutely don't. But just so you guys know, I use A to jump shot and have it on the right hand side, and I use the short paddle. As much as it's showing a long paddle there on the screen as an icon, I am actually using the short paddle. So you can use these paddles in any way, shape, or form that you want, as long as it's comfortable to you. And that's what I'd preference here, is that you need to make sure the controller feels comfortable in your hand so that you are doing everything correctly. The more comfortable it is, the better this controller is going to thrive for you. Next up, we're going to move up to the left stick, and this is default, okay? Leave this as it is. It is only movement. You don't need to do anything special with this whatsoever for Black Ops 6. Just leave it on radio. It does not matter. Right stick, however, you want to change this. I've made this very clear in previous videos. True diagonals is the absolute god tier setting on this controller. Make sure you are using it. And whilst we're talking about this, so the reason you want to use this is, I can't just demonstrate because I don't unfortunately have a hand cam, but this is as precise as it's going to get. This is the most accurate setting when it comes to your sensitivity curve and that on your controllers and your right stick specifically for Black Ops 6 for your Xbox Elite Series controllers. So make sure you're taking advantage of this. Change it to true diagonals and thank me later. But whilst I'm on this, I'm going to talk about something else that you can't actually see, which is the stick tension. Some of you may or may not know about this, but what you can do if you have the Xbox Elite Series 2 or the Elite Series Core or even the Elite Series 1, you can do the exact same thing. What you want to do is remove your thumbstick. So pull your thumbstick off and you'll see that there's like a metal thing in there with like a cross on it. With your controller, you will get a special metal key, a silver key. Make sure you get that silver key and put that into the crosses, so make sure it lines up and goes into there. Turn it so it's at its maximum tension, and the way you'll know that is you'll feel the right stick get firmer and firmer as you press it. So on the left stick, leave it as default. I do not change the stick tension on the left stick, but on the right stick, change the tension to the maximum tension. The reason you want to change it to the maximum tension is so that you have some force against when you're trying to aim. This will make it more precise for you when you are trying to aim in Black Ops 6 and just in any Call of Duty in general, but this is of course for specifically Black Ops 6. Change the tension on your right stick to the maximum tension, and again, thank me later, trust me, you will notice the difference combining the true diagonals and the maximum tension on the right stick. Next up, we are moving on to the triggers, O and 1, okay? And the reason you set these to O to 1, as you can see, as soon as I press the controller, that is it. I am either aiming down sight or shooting my gun rapidly or, firing my weapon. It is an instantaneous press. You want to set these to O to 1, even if you are using the trigger stop. So on the left stick, I'm not, the left trigger, sorry, I am not using actually a trigger stop whatsoever. It is a full press just because it doesn't feel comfortable in my hands. But on the right trigger, you might even be able to hear it from my microphone, I have the trigger stop set to the maximum possible press. So as soon as I press it, I can't press it any further anyway, and I still have the setting set to O to 1. So I highly recommend that you set these to O to 1. Next up, vibration. I've always said this before, turn off your vibration. You do not need it on. You do not want the controller shaking around your hand. And on top of that, with this will save the battery life. This will save your controller from getting damaged. You don't need the controller rumbling around. You just do not need it. Turn it off. And then finally, the color. I've always said this. We had purple for more aim assist. This year, you want orange. Of course, it's Black Ops. You want orange. The color orange goes with Black Ops. You want orange. It's going to give you more aim assist. Now, I'm only joking. It doesn't actually give you aim assist. In case any of you do believe that, you can change this color, though, if you want to do that. Also, before I finish off with the segment for the Black Ops 6 controller setup, for the Xbox Elite Series 2 and Elite Series Core, my actual thumbsticks, I want to talk about them. The left thumbstick is a default thumbstick, the default Xbox thumbstick, and on the right is also a default up thumbstick. However, I am actually using a tool Control Freak. So yes, I do use Control Freaks. I'm not actually sponsored by them or anything. More specifically, it's a tool Control Freak from Black Ops 4. So if you want to get the same effect without having to use a Control Freak or going out and spending on a Control Freak for the controller, just use the Xbox tool stick that you get given with the controller. It'll do the exact same thing. The only reason I use the Control Freak is it has a bigger surface area because I have quite large thumbs. So it has a bigger surface area and it's more comfortable for me. So again, left stick, I only have a normal Xbox control stick on there. Nothing changed with that. The right stick, though, Xbox default controller stick with a thumbstick from Control Freak, a tool thumbstick from Control Freak on the right stick. And that is it. That is the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller settings that you will need for Black Ops 6. I have made a video before on the channel, and I will link that in the comments if you guys want, for me to share in depth exactly why I use all these settings. But I thought I'd do this nice and fast for you guys so you can get this all down. But moving on, after doing the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller settings for Black Ops 6, we are of course going to move into those all-important Black Ops 6 settings for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC if you are using a controller, of course. So let's cut to those settings from Black Ops 6. Right, and hello to those of you looking for specifically Black Ops 6 settings, or those who have specifically come from the Xbox Elite Series 2 segment of the video. Welcome. We are going to be, of course, covering now the Black Ops 6 settings for controller and mainly for console. I am on Xbox Series X, so these settings are more aimed at console users. However, some of these settings can be used for PC players if you are using a controller also. But let's get into it. And the reason I'm showing these settings already, might have done the New Zealand trick, might have taken an all-expensive paid holiday to New Zealand, hint, hint, wink, wink, but I am having some great success already with these settings. Yes, I'm only level 23, but I know these settings are going to work. These are also subject to change, and I will, of course, do an updated video for Season 1 to do, share with you guys the new settings if I do change anything. But right now, I'm having a lot of success, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So first off, we're using controller, of course. Button layout, tactical. The reason for this game, it takes a lot of advantage of slide cancelling in this game. You want to be making sure you are sliding, and tactical will do that. Right stick will be your slide, and B will be your melee. The reason you want that is your thumb is always on the thumbstick, and using the crouch to slide and stuff on the thumbstick means you never have to leave your thumbstick to be able to perform a slide cancel that. So you can aim whilst you are slide cancelling. So definitely be doing that. Change that to tactical. Horizontal and vertical stick layout, I've got 6-6. I'd say anywhere between 5-5 and 8-8 is where you want to be in this game. The higher, the better it seems. This game is very fast-paced, a lot of fast movement, very small maps too. So I'd say anywhere between 5-5 and 8-8 is what you want to do. But for a baseline, if you want, you can use 6-6 like I am. All of these, leave off. You do not need these whatsoever. Controller vibration, exposed by this in the Xbox Elite Series 2 settings. You want this off. You do not want the controller shaking around your hand. It's just going to throw your aim off, so do not have that on. Dead zone inputs. Now, the reason you have to go to show more, you can actually test this as well to see that you're getting this correct. I have a controller that has next to no dead stick drift at all. I could even change my right stick to probably next to 2 or 1 probably and not get any stick drift. However, controllers do develop stick drift over time, and I would recommend that you put your left stick on 2 because it's just movement, so it's not too bad. Even if you get stick drift, to be honest, as long as it's not over the top bad, I'd have this on 2. And your right stick, have it on 5. And the reason I have it on 5, even though I could probably put it to 2 and make it more responsive, over time, like I said, your controller will get, how would I put it, more stick drift. And with more stick drift means you're going to have to change this setting. And if you've got you used to it being on 2 for such a long time and you change it to 3, then 4, then 5, you're just going to lose that rhythm. Call of Duty is a rhythm type of game. Once you get in the rhythm of being able to aim and shoot, you kind of know what to expect each time. So definitely change it to 5 just to keep a nice baseline so that you are ready for when your controller does develop that little bit of stick drift that will happen over time. Left trigger and right trigger, you want these on 0-0 so that you are instantaneously pressing those buttons. When you want to aim down sight and shoot, you definitely want to have those on 0-0. Next up, aiming. With this sensitivity multiplier, you can see this is all 1 except for the ADS sensitivity multiplier. Now, this is something that's all personal preference. I have changed it to 0.85. I feel like that is a necessity in this game, but you guys can change this if you want to. Anywhere between 0.80 or just leaving it at 1 will be perfectly fine. Anything below 0.80 is probably going to be a little bit too slow. Even if you put it on those really, really high sensitivities, I feel like it's just going to feel a little bit off when you're turning it like on those 20 sensitivities and then changing to a 0.80 ADS sensitivity multiplier. If that works for you, then feel free, but I feel like 0.80 or to 1 is going to be what you want to do in this game. Look conversion, standard, does not matter. Aim advanced settings, make sure you're getting this correct. Have this set to instant. It is on gradual by default, so make sure it's instant so you are, having your sensitivity apply as soon as you aim down sight. This doesn't matter, I'm not going to play third person. Aim response curve, it's easily dynamic in this game, and I've left the curve slope at 1. This could change throughout the cycle of the game, and I will, of course, let you guys know in an updated video if I do that. But dynamic is the best, as always. I can't see why standard would be any good in this game. It doesn't feel that great. Linear could be useful, but I feel like it's got a lot of fine-tuning to it, so I feel like dynamic is just the best to go if you just want a straight-out-of-the-box, great sensitivity, response curve type. Custom sensitivity zoom, you can mess around with this for snipers if you want. I've personally got it off, don't really need it. And target aim assist, make sure you have this on, otherwise you're going to be having window wiper aim all year long, so make sure you got that on. Sprint assist, take advantage of this, turn it on, make sure this is set to 0 so you're not getting any sort of delay when you're trying to do things, and have these both on as well. These seem to be quite useful, especially with strafing and gunfights. You seem to actually be able to strafe in gunfights and be able to make your opponent miss, so definitely be taking advantage of this. Mantle assist, have this off. You do not need this on. This is going to make sure you don't accidentally mantle when you're trying to jump shot and stuff. Crouch assist, I've got this off. Corner slice, I've left this on for now. With more experimenting, I'll see if this is any good or not. I've just left it on for now. Not sure if it's a benefit or not a benefit. I'm going to see as the game goes on. But so far, I've just left it on, so I'd say you leave it on. Slide dive behavior. If you want to be slide cancelling instantly and have no delay whatsoever, have hybrid on. Now, this will say short, it is actually completely locked when you use it on the hybrid setting. So I did go to one of the other settings and actually change it to like dive. Well, what did I change it to? Like tap to dive and then change it to short. Then went back to hybrid just in case that has an effect. But so far, not seeing any sort of delay when I'm trying to like slide or dive or anything like that. Auto door peek, I've got off, don't really need it in this game. You could just bash through the door and slide cancel people. Automatic airborne mantle I've got on. Sprint restore on, slide maintain sprint on, free fall off, movement advanced settings. Again, this one is the only one you want to change. Either single tap sprint or single tap run. You do not want double tap, otherwise you're going to be bashing your stick just to try and do a tactical sprint, and you are going to wear out your controller's thumbstick. So make sure you've got this set to single tap to run. Vehicle behaviors does not matter. Combat, again, nothing too crazy. Weapon mount activation, ADS plus melee. Can't see the weapon mount being useful in this game, so I'll just have it anyway, just as an option. I'm sure there's going to be camo challenges as well that you might need to use this for. So have it on just so you can use it for the camo challenges. Otherwise, it's not really that useful. Everything else is not too important, to be honest. Again, nothing too crazy here. Up to you as well, whether you want to prioritize body shield or finishing move. But for me, I want to use the body shield just because it's a little bit of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with that in this year's game. Overlay advanced settings, again, nothing too crazy here either. But next up, we are going to move on to the graphics. If you can take advantage of 120 Hz, which is, of course, 120 FPS on console, PC, or PlayStation, make sure you have this on. If you can't, I'd advise getting a monitor that can, play at 120 FPS if you have a console that can also do it, or a PC that can reach those 120 Hz refresh rates. Make sure you take advantage of this. It's such a game changer going from 60 FPS to 120 FPS. I can't say enough about it. Like, you cannot go back once you do. Gamma and brightness, this is all, again, personal preference based on your monitor settings and stuff, so I can't share exactly what's going to look good for you, but just make sure 1's not visible, 2's barely visible, and 3 is easily visible, which for me leads to 47. Eco mode preset, this will not make your game perform less, okay? This will just save your console from sounding like it's going to explode, put it that way. So I put it on low consumption. Quality, turn all these off. You do not need these. Unfortunately, we're not blessed this year with a setting where you're allowed to change it to like 0.15, 0.20, 0.25. I just have them off this year, do not have them on. Fidelity cast, have this on and have it set to 100. This will improve the game and how it looks and makes the game look so much sharper and look better. On-demand texture streaming, unfortunately, is here to stay, so have this on minimal and just leave it on auto and daily download limit, which you can have on, which I do, and have it set to 1, just so it's not using up all your internet and data, that you have for your internet, and causing you lag. Make sure you've got it set to minimal. Otherwise, you can have it set to optimize, which does, by the way, optimize does actually decrease input delay, But the issues with like, how would I put it, milliseconds when connecting to the servers and stuff, you definitely want to have a lower ping more so than a faster response time when you're trying to shoot. I'd say that anyway. Motion reduction preset, leave that off. Field of view, anywhere between 95 and 105 is what you're going to need, but I'd say aim towards more the higher ends of either 100 and 105 for this year. This game is very fast-paced, and you want to be turning very quickly, and field of view, having a higher field of view will make it feel like that. This also does affect your sensitivity, so you want to make sure you're getting this right, along with your sensitivity, of course. So for me, I've got it at 102 with affected and wide field of view. Weapon field of view always makes the gun feel like it has less, like, how to put it, visual recoil. It doesn't give the gun less recoil, but it does feel like it has less recoil when you are trying to shoot it. So definitely make sure you got this set to wide as well, along with this being between, I'd say between 95 and 105, but aim for more the higher end of them field of view options. Everything else doesn't really matter. Make sure these are on least, so you're having as least amount camera shake whilst you're trying to shoot. Inverted flashbang, I've actually got off this year. I'm fed up with the screen going black. I feel like it's weird compared to the screen going black, so I've just got this off this year. And then finally, audio. I haven't messed around with this too much, I'm not going to lie. Obviously, we did a video about the controversial setting that does exist. It is in the game, as we kind of predicted and seen. But I've got the settings like this for now, 0, 30, and 100. I'm hearing footsteps, so it's doing a good job for me. Enhanced headphone mode, I do have on. However, this is the thing that you can pay for. Do not pay for this. I will highly recommend that you do not pay for this. Even if this does end up giving an advantage, we will see over the coming days as someone will probably buy it and use it. Do not pay for this, okay? I don't care if it does actually give an advantage. Do not waste your money. It's just not worth it. Audio mix, headphone, bass boost. Again, I am hearing footsteps quite clearly. Obviously, a lot of people aren't going to have dead silence right now as well. So headphone, bass boost is definitely what you'll be using. Mono audio, this is all personal preference here. I have muted the music because obviously I'm trying to record, so I can't really play copyrighted content. This as well, not really using this. Configure this. Now, this is something that I think is going to be more experimenting, and I probably will experiment with this more when the game is fully launched, as I feel like this is going to massively change how you hear footsteps. And once I find out some settings that work for this, I will, of course, share those when I get to that point. Reduce tinnitus sound and default. And then voice chat, it's up to you. Obviously, if you want to hear people voice and, rage and stuff, that's up to you. And then finally, we move on to the interface. Nothing too crazy here. Server latency, packet loss all on, and connection meter so you can see whether you're lagging, whether you're on a bad server, etc. So far, I've had no lag issues whatsoever. There's sometimes been some first, shoot first, die first moments, but actual lag in this game, next to none. Might be because there's not too many people in the game right now. I don't know how many people are doing the New Zealand trick, but the game's not laggy whatsoever, so that's a good sign so far. But next up, you want to move to your readability, though, because this part here is very important. You want to change all this to whatever colors you feel is suited to you that you want to read. So if you want to see the flag being yellow when contested, or neutral is pink, enemies in red, I'd recommend, and your team in green and yourself in white, that's up to you. You can change that. But make sure you've got color filter 2 on, color filter target on both, world color intensity and interface color intensity both set to 100. This is going to make the game appear crystal clear and look visually just amazing. You'll be able to spot people from miles away in this game, because people are quite clear and very obvious to spot. Might be because of these settings, I don't know, but make sure you are using these settings to be able to spot people from those further distances. And then everything else, safe area, make it as minimum as possible. The reason for this will bring the minimap closer to the middle of the screen, so you're not having to look away from the middle, like where your weapon is, and when you're trying to shoot someone, whilst having to also look at the minimap so you can see where the red dots are, where your team's spawning, etc. You want to make sure you have that as close as possible to the middle. You have HUD presets as well, which you can take advantage of, which I haven't actually done anything with. I've just left it on default. Minimap, this was actually on round by default, so make sure you're changing this to square, because square is the bigger minimap. It's going to give you more, you can see more on the minimap, and more you can see of the minimap, the better. Like, you will be able to see more things, such as spawns, where your enemies are, where your teammates are, all very important information that you need. Minimap rotation on, radar off, compass type off, I've got all that off. Crosshair, this is important, I've got it on, and you can change the color this year. I am using green because it seems to stand out from like all the backgrounds in this game. I think the game's a little bit a little bit dark, and it's also got colors that just don't blend in with green. Green seems to be great for me. And yeah, having the center dot on as well is very useful as well. I have it on default. You can make it bigger if you want to, but yeah, you can change a crosshair color, and I'd say take advantage of this and find a color that makes it look better for you and more visually, you can see better. And then widget visibility, these are all just on 100, doesn't really matter to me. But that is it. Those are my Xbox Elite Series 2 Black Ops 6 settings. and Black Ops 6 settings for controller, for PlayStation, for Xbox, and for PC, again, if you are using a controller. But those are my settings, those are my setup. If you have any question about my Xbox Elite Series 2 setup for Black Ops 6, or the Black Ops 6 settings that I've shared in this video, or just want to know things better, or what settings that you should be using, leave some comments down below. I'll try and answer them as best as I can. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, notifications on. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.